Your last tip that you tell
Focus.
me,
So yeah. Focus.
don't be distracted. Yeah.
You have a lot of different life events, right? After you exit med school, and people take up research, people take up admin, people take up like all sorts of things, and they want to be nowadays. Particularly residency spots are very competitive, right? So you want to do research and you want to show that wow, I have a stellar CV. You know, look, I did this many audits, I did so many studies on clinical medicine, and I write so many papers and publish so much. But really, at the end of the day, it is important to be clear that you are a clinician and then the patients come first, because you can publish a lot of papers, you could have done a lot of admin, you could have done so many things, but if you are not functional, then all that does not matter. Okay, you could have won many grants, even at a more senior level, like let's say you're a consultant, you've won many grants, you're like a professor X in dean of school of medicine or whatever. But if you are sued by the family or a patient, then that's the end of the career. Okay, it doesn't matter how many grants you have, and you
Wow.
defend yourself, right, in the code of all that. So really, it's easy to be distracted. Okay, you may think that medicine or see patients lah, and be it's not true lah, because there are many things that will distract you when you start work. And in the end of the day, you have to be clear that okay, number one priority is still bedside and get the patient sorted out, and then do the rest later. Yeah.
It seems to me like there is very little scope for error. Okay, when you are an actual practitioner.
Yeah. Maybe I should share more like
Yeah.
what you should consider to be the downsides of medicine before you apply for medicine. So one is that you're actually exposed to danger, okay? In terms of like you will get exposed to tuberculosis, HIV, and COVID-19 in your face, not remotely through another channel. When I was in senior residency, I thought I wanted to do infectious disease, but Stephanie inside, you know this, right? I did a lumbar puncture on a patient that got needle stick from HIV patient. Okay, like I got a needle stick, like it went through into my finger, and because it's a HIV patient, I need to take HIV medicines for like 3 months and make sure that I don't have HIV after that. I did a lot of blood tests and all that, and it was a major reportable thing, right? Like resident got a needle stick injury from HIV patient. So and then you do get patients who like have tuberculosis, then you didn't know, people didn't know that tuberculosis, they don't know that tuberculosis, then they cough in your face, and then you don't know whether you got, right? So and then of course COVID-19 no need to say lah, or SARS or whatever. So these are dangers, these are actual practical dangers, and the problem is not just your danger, it's the people around you also, right? Because if you get, then I mean it's not just you, your family might be in jeopardy. Yeah. So it's you can think of it as very heroic and very like whatever, but when you're inside, it's not so funny lah. It's not so like glam anymore. Okay, it's real. The dangers are real. Secondly, it's also not true that job security is absolute, because you in this age it's more litigious and people do sue, and if you do make a mistake, you can get into trouble lah. It is increasing in Singapore in the landscape. That's why there are more and more medical lawyers, right? So I would say that because of that, people also become more defensive. Like you just be careful lah. Like I order 10 scan, I PET scan everybody, scan. Okay, see I scan, but you also cannot do that, right? So you have to find a balance and where your conscience is, and yet not be too risky, put yourself at risk. So these are very actual things lah. And lastly, it can be very tiring lah. It's actually a very bone breaking, like tiring and terrible thing, especially if you are seeing patients back to back, back to back, and sometimes they are very complicated, right? So they have 10 million and one things, and sometimes one organ can be very complicated, right? Sometimes the patient's liver is very complicated, like the liver, like from 5 years ago, they got clot, then after that got tumor, then after that this, that. Just the liver, Then after that got the kidney, got heart, got brain. Then one patient, you can round the organ like, wow, it's like, that's only one patient. Then you have 30 patients. They got so like what, 100 plus organs, right? So it is very, can be overwhelming lah. It is easy to burn out and easy to get disillusioned and ask yourself like what the hell you're doing, and especially if your peers are harsh or the environment is not nurturing, or all that adds to the stress. Yeah.
So
So
just now
think
you
twice. Yeah.
That's why you mentioned about being disillusioned. So,
Yeah.
and you mentioned there are several risks or hazards that you face on a daily basis. So, I'm just curious, are all these laid up front to you before you sign out
Mm,
a medical career, or you have to go through
people
this?
assume you know, yeah. People assume you know when you apply for med school that you know what you are getting yourself into, right? But the truth is, I find that people often don't know what they're getting themselves into. Yeah, they just see wow, I'm going to be a doctor, and I
The
hope I didn't
hazard.
disillusion people though. It's still a very nice career. It's still a very meaningful career. Okay, despite all this, yeah, you do make actual differences to people's lives. So, and it is mentally stimulating and a meaningful and very versatile career. Like as I say, you could branch out into many different things. You can do education, you can do research, you can be a teacher, you can go to lab and cut rats if you want. You can become a lawyer, you can do an MBA, you can do many things, and you are offered the a position where you can make an actual difference. So all that are still important and meaningful things, but it's just that shouldn't as in you also cannot have a too rosy picture when you come in.